Hello and welcome once again to This Podcast Takes Tokens. I'm your co-host Ryan, joined by my combat evolved brother today, Derek.
Hey.
We are we're going to cover Halo Combat Evolved today. Are you ready for this one?
I am. Yes, Halo Combat Evolved. I feel like this is really like Halo 007 GoldenEye Evolved, because this is like that next step for me. Like, this is where where GoldenEye left off for me, Halo picked up.
I kind of felt the same way. You know, I remember playing GoldenEye a whole lot, and that was really that and Perfect Dark, I guess. Did you ever play Perfect Dark?
Oh yeah. I never played Perfect Dark, but I heard that if you really enjoyed GoldenEye, Perfect Dark was like the next game that you should play.
Yeah.
Of course, I heard that like 3 years ago, so it didn't help me back in the day.
Sure. Yeah. It's Rare is the company that made Perfect Dark, and of course they made GoldenEye. So it's just a continuation, almost a spiritual successor to GoldenEye, I guess. But yeah, those were like my two. Yeah. Those were like my two first-person shooters that I was like really, really into. But then I didn't play FPSs for a long time. I don't know, I still play games, but I don't know.
Never got into the Call of Duty or Medal of Honor or any of that?
I did, but later. And it was actually after Halo.
Yeah.
So Halo's really what brought me back in to playing first person shooters. So it was released as a launch title for the OG Xbox on November 15th, 2001.
Yeah. I think actually it was originally released as a PC game, and it was on Apple.
It was originally Yes, they were originally developing it for Apple, and then
okay.
Yes, and then something I can't remember. I've watched it somewhere on YouTube, and that deal fell through, and Microsoft picked it up, and then they decided to use it as like their flagship game, I guess.
Great call.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Whoever made that call got a raise, I'm sure.
Yes. So if none of you out there have played Halo, first off, where have you been the last 23 years? But
drop us a line because we want to talk to you.
Yes, please. Little rundown of it. Like I said, if you haven't played it, first-person shooter, takes place in the future. You're a space marine, basically, but you're a Spartan, so you're like a super marine. John 117, and also known as Master Chief. And you are fighting an alien race called the Covenant, and you find yourself on this ring world. Yeah, that's pretty much the game. You're fighting these aliens. I remember them when they developed this game. I was listening to interviews on it, and they were saying that how they developed the game was they figured out how to make 30 seconds of fun, and then they just figured out from then on how to repeat that 30 seconds of fun just over and over and over again, and it completely makes sense.
Yeah, it kind of does.
Yeah.
I actually downloaded and played it on the Xbox earlier today. So I got a little hands-on with the first Halo, and that makes a whole lot of sense because I was thinking, and actually I was playing it again thinking this feels a little slower and kind of easier than I remember. Now, I don't know if that's just the evolution of gaming or what, but as I'm playing it, I'm getting a wave of enemies, and it probably takes me 30 seconds to knock them all out. And then maybe 10, 15 seconds later, another wave of enemies comes across, and it's the same thing repeated over and over and over again. But it was kind of annoying because I would have to it just kind of felt like I was like they had a predetermined number. Like they wanted to hit me with 3 waves of enemies before I could move on to whatever the next goal was that I had to reach. And so I'd hit these 3 waves of enemies, 4 waves of enemies, whatever
Sure.
it was. And then I could progress to whatever the next storyline element happened to be, like, oh, hey, come meet us over here, or come hit this checkpoint. And then it's the same thing. I'd hit that checkpoint, and then I had to hit like 3 or 4 different waves of enemies. And it was the exact same waves every time. And it kind of took a few before the enemies started kind of picking up in difficulty. So I was honestly getting a little bored with the beginning of it. And I don't remember the campaign that well. I don't think I played the campaign for this game. I don't think I played much of the campaign for this game.
Really? Okay.
Yes.
See, that's interesting to me because when I played this game, so I didn't get this game with my Xbox, my original Xbox initially. I actually got my Xbox, oh gosh, it was probably 2003 or something. So it was a couple years after the Xbox came out. I had a GameCube was like my newest console before then, because I was a big Nintendo guy. But yeah, so I remember I had some money, and that was back when, you remember when like game systems, like they were always $150. I don't know, it just seemed like there was always like, you know, maybe it's because I had to buy them a couple years after they'd come out, but I always like, to me, every game system I bought was like $150. Okay, I'll go buy it. And I just had some extra money, and I'm like, I'm gonna go pick up an Xbox, because I heard a lot of people talking about, you know, you need to check out the Xbox. You need to check out the Xbox. So I went over to Walmart with my money, and I got in there and I bought it. And I didn't know what games to get. I don't know how. Nobody told me Halo. I don't know how at that point. But I ended up buying Brute Force and I think not Red Dead Redemption. That's the new ones. Red Dead Revolver. So those are my two original Xbox games that I had. And then it was like a month or 2 later, I'd finished those games, and I had a job at this point, so I had all my money was expendable. It didn't, as long as I pay for gas or whatever. But so I'd make like weekly, or every couple of weeks I'd go over to GameStop, because we had a GameStop in town, and I'm like looking through the Xbox titles, and this guy that's working there is like, have you tried Halo? I said, what? I don't know. And anyway, he introduced me to it, and I bought it and got home, and I played that. Like, I think I played through that campaign probably in that first month, probably 2 or 3 times. And but I didn't have, this is before Xbox Live. So didn't have,
we had vastly different experiences with this game.
Okay. Oh, yeah. So I never did the multiplayer on the original Halo until years later, when I was grown up with quotation marks, like in my early 20s, and we had a bunch of friends that lived in a trailer here in town, and we would just all go over there, and we would have Halo LAN parties, and that point we mainly played Halo 2, because that was what was out at that point. But a lot of screaming at each other and laughing and everything. So it was fun, but I didn't get to experience the multiplayer until years later. That's funny. So what was your experience with the multiplayer?
All right, so let me take you back to I'm going to go through my whole. This is going to be quite the story here. So this is 2003, early 2003, I think, is whenever I discovered this. And at the time, I got my PS2, and I got my GameCube, and I'm playing the PS2 pretty hard. The GameCube I've kind of set to the wayside. I'm not really playing on it, and I'm playing.
Okay.
At the time, I'm playing Grand Theft Auto. You got Grand Theft Auto 3 and you got Vice City that were out. And those two I've been playing pretty hard, and I'm just starting to get into Medal of Honor. And because they had just come out, I think that was like the second one that they had done, the first or second one that they had done. And those games really blew me away, where you land on the beaches of Normandy and you're like, you got gunfire coming at you and everything. And I was really like digging that, like the immersive experience that it kind of created. And so I'm enjoying these games, playing by myself and having all kinds of fun. Then one day I'm working night shift at the company I'm working at the time. So I'm working these night shifts where I get up at I get to work at 6:30 at night, and I don't get off until 6:30 the next morning. And so after work, there's not much to do, but you're not ready to wind down. And we would work 3 and 4 days on and off. And so our last day was always Saturday or Sunday. Well, a couple of the guys at work were starting to get together on those days, that Saturday or Sunday, the first day that we have off after work, and just playing through the day these different games. We'd get beers and we'd go hang out at one of their houses. So I get invited to come hang out one day, and I go over and we're hanging out 9 o'clock in the morning on a Sunday morning, drinking beers, and they've got 9 TVs in this apartment hooked up. They've got 4 in the living room. There's 2 in the bedroom, and then I think 2 more in the dining room. And they've all got individual Xboxes hooked up to each one. Everybody brought a TV and an Xbox. Yep. And then they have this crazy LAN system going where they got them all connected together. And this is the first time I'd ever heard of anything like this LAN party situation. And they're just all connected together playing this Halo game. And somebody hands me a controller and he's like, here, I'm going to go to the bathroom. You play for me for a little bit. And I'm like, all right, cool. And they're playing 2 or 3 different people on a screen too, or on a TV at the time. So there's I think there was a dozen
LAN party going.
Yeah. I think there was a dozen or so people over there and we're all just playing on this thing. And I had the best time I think I've had. That's probably one of the best times I've ever had gaming, is playing one of these LAN parties. And I went home, and after the second week, I was like, I got to get an Xbox and I got to get Halo. So I bought an Xbox because of Halo.
Nice.
And so I started bringing my Xbox over and playing Halo with them and everything. But I never really played the campaign. I think Halo 2 was the first time I actually played the campaign all the way through. I mean, I may have played the campaign on Halo 1 and I just forgot about it, but anytime I played it by myself, it was me and my roommate, or somebody would be over and we'd play it, but I don't remember playing it single player a whole lot until I definitely played Halo 2, the campaign, because I remember that one was super short. And then I played Halo 3, the campaign, and those were the only ones that I remember playing. But yeah, so my experience was that was world changing. That got me into the Xbox as a whole. And I think 6 months to a year after that, I sold my PlayStation and I sold my GameCube for more Xbox stuff. I fully bought into the Xbox experience and I just abandoned everything else.
Yeah. Man, we did have vastly different experiences. Yes. I wish that I would have had that experience when I first played this, because I was still, I think I was a sophomore or junior in high school. And I don't know, I think that I would have had, I would have just had a lot of fun doing that. Not that I didn't, like I said, when I was a little bit older and we were doing Halo 2 over at the trailer, I mean, there was 20 of us over there, sometimes
Yeah.
more. Now, not everybody was playing, but it was,
Oh,
everybody
yeah.
called it the Halo House. That's what the name of
Yeah.
it was the Halo House. And we'd all be over there. People would be, people would have some drinks and stuff, but we'd just be over there. Everybody had, we had Xboxes and like all the different rooms and TVs going. You'd have 3 or 4 people on a TV, and people are just screaming at each other from the other room. And I just, capture the flag was always my favorite.
Yes.
I don't know if you
capture the flag was fine.
Oh my gosh. And you just about get back to your base and somebody would just destroy you.
Yep. Or what's the one where it's like, it's basically like one person, it's like the ball one or something like that. Somebody like, it's everybody after the one person. It's like whoever can hold the ball the longest. I forget what that one's called. That one was a lot of fun too.
There was a guy in our group that would play with us, and he was like, I am like not exaggerating. He was like professional level, like good at it. Like I don't
There's always that
know
one.
if like I'm like if esports were a bigger thing back then, he could have easily been on like a team or something. And we would play that where it was everybody against him, and he would win almost every time. Like, cause he just like knew the tricks. He would just like, he's like, I just have to aim a certain way and I can get a headshot every single time. And he knew the ins and outs of all the maps. So if you were playing teams, it's like Alex is on our team, you know, because
Alex is his own team.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so I mean, he was big into it. Like I remember he read like all the novels, because there's novels that they've written for this. And then he had all of the like all the seasons on DVD of Red versus Blue. I don't know if you remember that or not.
You put that in the show notes. I don't know anything about Red versus Blue. I've never. I mean, I know it was like a cartoon series or something like that. I've seen like a tile for it, but I've never actually watched it.
So it was like a bunch of people got together. I don't know how many people, but they so when you play Halo, you've got the red team and the blue team, and they would screen capture a whole bunch of stuff, and they made like a little web series out of this, and they did voice work for everybody. And I mean, it was comical stuff. But I don't know, if you have to go check it out sometime. I'm sure it's still on YouTube somewhere. And I mean, but like it got super popular. Like they released stuff on disc that you could buy, and I don't know how many seasons they made for it, but I thought it was like
a full-on series done by the people at Halo or something.
They may have picked it up later, I'm not sure, but it was just a fan-made thing. And it was big for a long time. Like big on the internet.
Like I think that spun out a whole genre, if you will, of like YouTube videos. I know my kids watch like people playing Minecraft and Roblox and other games where they like role play as these characters and just use these characters in this sandbox environment to basically shoot a TV show.
Oh yeah.
So that's interesting. I didn't know that's what that was. I never looked into it because I was like, I play the game. I don't really care about like shows or anything like that around it. Yeah, at the time we had, I think the biggest video game to big screen thing that we had was the Mario movie. Now the original 80s Mario movie. So my tastes were a little burnt on that.
A little burnt. Hey, let's base a movie off of a beloved franchise, and then let's not make the movie about anything that this franchise is about.
You're stepping on one of our future episodes. Careful.
I know. Couldn't let it go.
I know. It was pretty rough. But yeah, they got the show now. Have you seen the new one? The Halo show that they got on Paramount?
No, I have not. I've heard very mixed reviews about it. One of my buddies, Elliot, he's a big Halo fan. Like he's got gosh, he's got like this big, like 4 foot tall Master Chief like statue in his basement
Wow.
and all this stuff. Like, yeah, like it was funny when he was buying it. They were at like a vintage stock or something. Him and his wife were, and they saw that, and he said this thing was like, I could be wrong on the price. It was like it was high priced. It was like
Oh, sure.
$300 or $400 or something. And he just asked the guy, he's like, "Hey, how much is that?" 'Cause he's just curious. And they told him, and he's like, "Oh, okay." And she's like, "Are you going to get it?" He's like, it's like $400. I can't buy that." She's like, "Sure you can. Go get it." And I was like, man, keep that lady.
That's right.
So,
That's marriage material right there.
yeah, yeah. But he was saying, he, I guess said it wasn't that good. I think like the first episode, Master Chief takes his helmet off. So if you're not familiar with the game, like you never see Master Chief's face at all. The end of the first game, you see him take his helmet off from behind, but you never actually see his face. And not that that's like a,
It's like a whatever point.
It's a whatever point, but you know, as the series goes on, like for fans, like maybe I don't want to see his face, you know. And then when they just go ahead and show it in the first episode of the series, it's kind of like But my Aunt Lisa, she watches it, and she's not into video games at all. She just was scrolling through Paramount, and she was looking for something to watch, and she likes it. So
She likes sci-fi, doesn't she?
Yeah, she does. So I guess it's like, you know, what are you into? And if you're into the game, maybe you won't like it. But I don't know. I need to watch it to give it a fair opinion.
Yeah.
You know, because I don't.
I've seen it, and it's there's a new season out, and I'll watch it, but I don't know how I feel about it. Like, I definitely watching the show, I can see visually the connection to Halo and thematically the connection to Halo, but the storyline doesn't mesh very well with what I remember from Halo. But I also don't remember paying a whole lot of attention to the storyline, if that makes sense. So it's definitely not like they're definitely not making the game into a show. They're more taking the theme and general ideas and making that into a show. And I can understand why you would have Master Chief remove his helmet, because in the beginning, they've got this whole scene with all the Spartans and everything coming down, and they introduce the Spartans, and a bunch of them drop in, and I want to say they referred to one of them as Master Chief, but they all look identical, and it's like, how do you tell the difference between them? So whenever he takes his helmet off, you're like, oh, that's Master Chief. Now I have a face to go with it. It's kind of like whenever what was it, The Force Awakens, whenever Finn has like the red streaks go across his mask, and you're like, okay, that's that one specific stormtrooper. I can keep track of him now. And then eventually he removes his helmet, and you're like, oh, okay, now he has a face, and now I track him through his face. Otherwise, he just looks like a normal stormtrooper. You can't tell the difference between him, between FN 118 or whatever his number was, and anybody else. And it's kind of the same way with the Master Chief. So I can understand why they have him take his helmet off, because visually and if from a storytelling perspective, the audience isn't going to be able to track who's who if they're all looking identically. But yeah, it was true. It was a lot of story for sure. Like it was a lot of like political theater and stuff like that. And so I don't know how I feel about it.
Yeah. And see, like I said, I need to watch it. I just know, like, I guess I need to go into it with just a mindset of I'm going to take this at face value, because I did like I said, I played that first Halo so many times, and I like the multiplayer to me was secondary for the longest time until I got older. And that first Halo, like, I mean, all of them, second Halo, like all that, the story is like, it's so good. And I put it up there with, you know, the upper echelon of sci-fi stories, even though it's a game, you know. I mean, it's just like up there with, you know, the Alien franchise, and, you know, Dune.
I mean, they've been trying to make a movie out of it for 20 years.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah,
I mean,
like it's got a
and
good story.
I remember like the end of the second game. Like you said, the campaign was shorter, but like you get to the end of the second game, and like it's just huge cliffhanger.
Yeah.
And you hear Master Chief say, you know, I'm going to finish this fight. And then it goes to credits, and everyone's like, what? No, no,
Yeah.
no, 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 no. And then we had to wait like another 3 or 4 years to see what happened. And, you know, recently, like, I liked Halo 1 through 4. 5, I stopped halfway through it. I didn't think it was that good. And then Infinite, I didn't really play. So I feel like
I
the
haven't
quality's
played
kind of waned
any of the
on
others.
it. But, you know.
I played
Well,
1 through 3,
Infinite,
and that's it.
Infinite, they've made into like a open world sort of a
Really?
first person shooter, and he's got like a grappling hook that he can like shoot and like traverse the environment, which I guess is okay. But like when I play Halo, I maybe this is just the old gamer man in me or something, but like I expect like level based
Campaigning.
yes, campaigning, and I don't want to be like, oh, here's a whole open world. Like I feel like they make everything open world anymore, and
Yeah.
I don't know, but I don't remember the point I was trying to make with that. But anyway,
Yeah.
so when you were playing it, like you know, go right ahead.
Yeah, I lost my train of thought. Go ahead.
Okay, yeah. So when you were playing it, like, is there anything that like I know you said you hadn't played it for a while and you went back and you played it again. Like, is there anything like stuck out like to you like visually or just like
Oh yeah. Like right away. I remember whenever it drops you in like so to start the game, your Master Chief waking up from cryo freeze, and then your little training montage is you trying to escape the ship that's being attacked. And so you have, a short duration where you're learning about like how to maneuver. So it's got you running down hallways and corridors to avoid being attacked because you don't have a weapon yet. And then you have a conversation with somebody, then you get your first weapon, then you go through a short like tutorial, if you will, of learning how to fire the weapon. And I think this is probably the first game I've ever played that I can remember that the tutorial was actually the first level. So you don't know or you don't realize that you're being trained on how to play the game in the first level. And so like the first real level is really the second level because that's where you get dropped onto the main world.
Sure.
And so after that whole training thing and you get dropped on that main world, you look out on the horizon and you look up and you can see that halo ring going up in front of you and over behind you, or to your left, to your right, whatever you're oriented. But it goes up and over and around, and like you can see the whole ring around you. And I always thought that was really cool to be able to see basically like the whole world on this little ring. And no matter where you're at in the game, as long as you're outside, you can look up and you can see that ring. And that's probably the thing that sticks out to me as like the most memorable visual thing about the game is seeing that ring. That was just such a cool thing to see. Even 20 years ago when I first played it, that was such a cool thing to see.
No, that was totally me too. Like I remember coming down and like I think when you first land, you like get in a firefight immediately or something. Yeah. And then like when you've got time just to stop and like rest for a second and you look and you see it just spinning off, like you're saying, you see it spinning off in the distance and you're just like, what? And I remember like looking up and like looking behind me. And even like as I kept playing the game, I would stop and look at it some more. And then I would have like my own, like, I don't know if meta is the right word or whatever, but like, it's not the right word, but I would be in there playing and I'd be like, I'm gonna kill some Covenant on the other side of the Halo. So I'd like aim my rocket launcher up and just shoot straight in the air. And I'm like, just in my mind thinking it's going to go all the way, to the other part. I know it's
There's
not,
one little grunt who's like, ah!
Yeah, exactly. But that was crazy. Did you play it? So you downloaded it and you played it on your Xbox. Did you play it with the updated graphics?
Oh yeah, it was.
Oh yeah.
I got the Master Chief Edition on the new Xbox S or whatever it is. So I'm playing on like the latest hardware, and it looked good. It looked really good on there.
Could you tell that you could press the button, like one button, it'll switch you back and forth between the new graphics and the original graphics just on the fly. Like there's no
did not
loading.
know that was a thing.
They're loading both basically both two games are running at the same time, and you just flip back and forth between the original graphics and the new graphics, which is incredible on a technical standpoint.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it looks really good though. Like now, I know the graphics are updated, but it looks. Yeah, I mean, the Master Chief collection is, I don't know how old it is now. I'm not going to look it up, but several years old. I want to say it came out probably 2014, maybe
Was it
2015.
It's got to be sooner than that because it's got Halo 1 through 5. It's got Infinite.
Well,
and it's got a bunch
they've
of other stuff
updated
on
that
it.
since. So the original, I've got the original when they originally released it on disc. I'm pretty sure because I think my mom got it for me for Christmas one year, and I wasn't married yet. So I'm pretty sure it came out 2014, maybe 2013.
20th
But
something.
Yeah, but since then they've updated because I remember the first thing they did with it was they added ODST to it.
Yeah.
They updated it, and then I think they've added Reach and like you're saying 5 and Infinite. Did you play ODST or Reach at all?
No, it was ODST. ODST. That's
so ODST was like the first kind of side project they did, and it
that one's kind of like Warcraft or something, right? Where you're like commanding the army.
No. So that's Halo Wars, which I never played those. Okay. But they built those specifically for the console, so like apparently they control really well. But ODST, you were following a group of just like regular Marines, like they weren't Spartans. Like in Reach, you're playing as other Spartans, but like in ODST, you're just regular dudes. And like you're going up to like some of the brutes and stuff like that are super big. And as Master Chief, he's really tall. He's a Spartan. When you're fighting them as Master Chief, they look intimidating, but they're not much bigger than you. But as the Marines and the ODST, they're like these things are 2 feet shorter, like, just towering over you. Yeah, and it really changed the gameplay up a lot. And it was it was really fun on multiplayer because they had like a whole co-op campaign with it. That was a lot of fun. But yeah, because you're not you're not a Spartan, so you're not as powerful, and it really was more tactical. Like you're like, okay, I can't just come up and punch this thing in the face. I've got to figure out how to flank it or whatever, and it's a lot of fun. I really liked that one.
No, I never played that. Like I said, I've only played 1, 2, and 3. I never played anything else. I think I watched a video for that Halo Wars one because I was curious about it, but I never actually went around to playing it or anything like that. No. So how do you think this game influenced gaming from this point on?
So definitely multiplayer. Like I don't feel like multiplayer. People would hook up. They'd have LAN parties at home with like their PCs. Playing Call of Duty,
play like Warcraft or something like that. Yeah,
Doom. I think they did a lot of Doom. But I mean, Halo changed it. It was especially once they made Halo 2
Xbox
came
Live.
out and had Xbox Live. Oh my gosh. And then it's like every shooter after that, they won't release them. Like they almost build the games around the multiplayer now before they build them around
There's no
the campaign.
campaigns anymore.
I hate that.
Yeah.
But
because now I just want to play the campaign.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because I
Yeah.
don't want to have to deal with 15-year-old kids
Yeah.
online telling me I suck. Like I know I suck.
Yeah.
Like,
I just want to play a nice, relaxing game where I shoot aliens in the face. That's all.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's all.
But
But yeah,
yeah,
I feel like not only that, but it also changed the way we control characters in a first person shooter game.
mhm,
Because you think like before this, you had games like like we played 007 Goldeneye and
yep,
you said Perfect Dark, which had the same controlling scheme. And I think this is like even playing, because I played Metal Gear a lot before this, like 1, 2, and I think 3 came out
mhm,
right around the same time. And even that controlling style is different than this controlling style. That I don't know what you call this controlling style. I think now they call it the Halo controlling style. And that whenever I remember picking it up and it just felt so natural the way you control
mhm.
the character and you move and everything. And now every game, every first person shooter game, any game that's got like a third person view or anything like that, you play with this controller style. Like anytime
Yep.
you got to move a character around, it's like this is the way you do it. You got the 2 analog sticks, one of them for looking around and one of them for moving your character. None of
Mhm.
this like strafing or left and right triggers or like any other buttons. It's just the 2 analog sticks to move your character
Yeah.
around. And I think that this game, at least for me, like change, like that's where it changed. And in every other game after that, it was controlled like this. And if it wasn't controlled like this, it wasn't as fun to play. Like
No.
something about this controlling style just like makes the game easier to play.
So did when you were playing it, I'm curious. Yes, I agree with you on everything, but they also gave you like a lot of different options too, which was good.
Yeah.
That which just proves what you're saying, makes the controls really good. Because if you don't feel natural with this way, we've got like 5 or 10 other ways you can do it. And I don't think in the first one, but I think later they ended up letting you map out everything.
Yeah.
But
I
I always
remember on
played.
2 and 3 you could map out a lot of different
Yep.
things.
I
And
always
in the
played
first one
the
here, whenever you go through the tutorials, there's only one option, and that's whether you press up to look up and down to look down, or it reverses it. I forget what they call that, but
inverted.
inverted, yeah.
Yep.
And then you look down, or you press down, you look up, you press up, you look down. That's the only option you had during your training, quote unquote training.
Did you ever do so? When I played it, I had to go to the southpaw. That's how I played it in multiplayer and everything. Actually, I started using the southpaw control style in multiplayer
Cool.
because it turns that left trigger into your melee instead of having to hit
Okay.
B, or whatever it was you were hitting. It just, especially in multiplayer, because you just run, you're going so quick, and you ought to try playing it with Southpaw sometime, because it's really fun. Because you'll just go up there and it's so quick just to hit that left trigger, and you'll just smack something with your, with the butt of your rifle or something like that. But I
I
did a
tell
lot
you
of
what threw
melee.
me off.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
tell you what threw me off is that left trigger.
Oh, is it
Because
really?
playing that first one, you got your right trigger, that's your gun, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so then the left trigger I'm playing, and I'm in the beginning during the tutorial level when I first get the weapon, I pull the left trigger thinking that's how you lock on aim,
Mm-hmm.
and then I fire and I release and I go on about my business. I keep
Yeah.
doing that, and then all of a sudden at some point I picked up a grenade, and whenever I pulled that trigger, he threw a grenade.
Oh,
And I was like,
yeah.
oh, that's the grenade. And then so I'm
Yeah.
looking for like, how do I lock my aim? Like, because I'm used to
Mhm.
now, anytime you're in a shooter game, you have that left trigger is your aim.
Yep.
You're pulling up your reticle to aim, or you're looking down the
Mhm.
scope or whatever it is, and then right trigger is fire. And so this doesn't have that. You don't need that until I got to the sniper rifle, and then I think you clicked in on one of the thumbsticks. I think it was
Yep. It's the right thumbstick.
the right thumbstick.
Mhm.
You click it in, and then you can zoom in through notches, and then
Mhm.
you cycle through. And that threw me off a little bit, because I think for me that left trigger is my aim. That's my reticle.
Sure.
That's where I lock in my aim, and then right trigger is fire, and then either the right bumper or the left bumper is usually my grenade or melee or secondary weapon, whatever that happens to be. But yeah, I've never played Southpaw before.
For me, it was a game changer, especially in multiplayer, because I was just, I don't know, I could just run up to people and it was super quick just to hit that, and like I was not
Yeah.
performing as well until I changed that, and then it was just like, I don't know, to me it changed everything. But I don't know, but that's why they had so many different control styles. Somebody that may not work for everybody, so somebody else. So yeah, that was, like you're saying, that was one thing that I think really changed the landscape of shooters. And then the other thing, it wasn't so in Halo 1 you still got health packs, but then in Halo 2 they did away with that, and it was just like you've got you just have a life gauge that refills, or shield or whatever that'll refill, and now like any first person shooter you play now doesn't even, I don't even think has health bars or anything. It's just kind of, you take so much fire and then you just kind of wait for your life to recharge, then go back,
overshield or whatever.
Yep.
Some of them do. I know like like Fortnite, the big one does. Like you've got your health and then you get your shield, and
I'm
then
not a Fortnite guy.
I think they added like a third level of shield. I haven't played in a while, but the last time I played, I think they added like a third level of the shield or something like that. But they keep adding on to that shield. But yeah, like I know that one you've got health, and then I think I don't really play any other shooter games anymore. I just don't play them anymore. I play a lot more like puzzle based or platformers, or single player campaign type things.
Yeah.
In which case, you do have health, I guess.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of what I play more. I mean, I like a good shooter. I want a good shooter. But like we were saying earlier, like everything now is almost based around multiplayer, and I don't want that. I want a good campaign based shooter. I used to play all the Call of Duty campaigns. Like I didn't care about the multiplayer, but I played the campaigns. And now it's like
I want to know when my game has an end date.
Yep. And I don't want to spend $80 on a game and only get a 3-hour campaign on it. Like I don't know. I just don't feel like that's. I know some of that stuff. It's like, well, it's quantity or quality versus quantity, and I get that, but I mean, I don't know. Give me something that's more than 3 hours, but.
I mean, don't get me wrong. All the online multiplayer and all it's fun to play those shooter games online, to play like the Fortnite, go online, play multiplayer, to play Star Wars Battlefield online with other people. That's a lot of fun, but it's very repetitive, and I don't feel like there's a lot of return in those games anymore. Because like you said, you don't have that campaign. You don't have goals. You don't really, I mean, there are artificial goals. There are things that they kind of generate for you to like go after, but they don't really mean as much as playing through a predetermined campaign, beating a boss, like taking on a level or what have you. It's just not the same, and they just kind of like, I just feel like they become time sucks. I look back on them and I'm like, I spent a year playing Halo or playing Fortnite, and what I get out of it, I got nothing to show for it. I've just played a bunch of online games, and each one took like a half an hour, and now I'm left with I accomplished nothing really in the game. But I remember playing Metal Gear Solid the first time, playing it all the way through, beating the game. I can share that experience with other people, but whenever I go to share the experience of playing like Fortnite with somebody, it's like, oh yeah, I played it online too, but they had a completely different experience than I did. They did not play the same people as me. It's the conversation just isn't the same.
It is. And if anybody's out there listening and saying, well, you had that when you were playing multiplayer in Halo. No. No, because when you were playing multiplayer in Halo, at least for our experiences, we were playing it in a room or a house with
right next to
a
the
bunch of
person.
other people. So yeah, we can share that experience with, like, I don't care that I just dropped an entire night, literally a
Yeah.
night. The sun's coming up now and I haven't went to bed yet, but I don't care because I had fun with my buddies and
Yeah.
we had a shared experience. We had fun. That's, to me, that's no different than if you went out for a night, going to the bars or just going, top
Yeah.
golf or just doing whatever, you're just having an experience with your friends. And I don't feel like you get that with those online
we didn't
games
just
anymore.
sit there and we didn't just sit there and play Halo. We sat there and we played
No.
Halo, and we talked about what we did the night before. We talked about that girl that Johnny's seeing now and like what we all think of her. We talked about what Rex did with his car the other day. Like, oh, he blew that tire going down I-65. What happened there? We had conversations that were personal, and we had experiences with those people, like like I say me and my friends remember the time that our friend, will say Johnny, got really sick and threw his head back, said, "I'm not feeling so blah," and threw up, projectile vomited straight up into the air, back onto himself like one of the grossest fountains in the world. But that's not an experience I would have online playing with. I wouldn't have experienced that if we were in different houses.
No.
And like, I mean, as gross and gnarly as it is, that was a great time. But those are the things that we experienced together.
And that's why I think this is such a special thing, I don't, I could be wrong, but I don't think in 20 years there's going to be people on here on the internet making a podcast about how much fun they had with Fortnite. I know, shots fired, but with Fortnite, back with their buddies. I don't know, but because I'm like you, we would have experiences over that trailer. Like, so there was a bunch of guys living in that house. One of them hated the comedian Carrot Top. Somebody gave him a Carrot Top DVD for his birthday or Christmas or something. He threw it immediately in the toilet, and it sat there in that toilet that people used for like years. That thing had gotten orange and nasty, and it sat there for years. You got that. They had the place is all full of trash, and they had like a Bowflex that they had hung the trash from around Christmas, and it was the Trashmas tree. You've just it's just all this stuff that it was more than the game. It was hanging out with people and having a good time and enjoying time together with your friends. And
playing a game.
Yeah. And I cherish that so much. Like, one of my friends that I played with that lived over there, he passed away here a year and a half ago. And, I just remember playing, like, my big memories with him were playing Halo. We're playing games, and they were playing them in person and not online, And so I don't know. That's why I like Halo so much, but
I get that.
So did you have when you were playing it, did you have like a favorite weapon or anything that you used, or?
I mean, I really like, I mean, yes. So, okay. It's kind of a twofold answer.
Okay.
I'm always the guy that I'll take the sniper rifle and I'll go into a high position and I like to snipe. That's probably my favorite spot on the squad in multiplayer mode. I'm the sniper guy. Yes. I like to have a sniper and a pistol. So if somebody gets close, I have the pistol. But in the Halo game, I think one of my favorite weapons is that needler. Because if you can lock onto somebody just right and you hit them, you unload that full needler in them. At first, they're like, oh, that stung. It brought down my shield. and then like 3 seconds later, all those little needles start exploding and it just takes them out. And it's great. That's probably my favorite one.
That's a good choice. Yeah, so mine was the two of them actually. So I liked just just like this simple handgun because I had a lot of control over it, and you could do like a one-time zoom on it, and I felt like I could just. I like guns in games that I can have control with. Like I don't like the assault rifles because you start like moving up and everything. You get the kickback. I like being able to like one shot because I can pull the trigger pretty quick on those. But so I liked that. But I think my favorite was I don't remember what the official name for it was, but the plasma pistol that was the Covenant's pistol, because you could charge it up. And then once it got charged, you would let it go. It'd hit somebody. It would knock their shield down. And then I would go up and I'd use my southpaw controls and I'd smack them and it would kill them. So it was just like a twofer. Just boom, shields down, do a melee hit, and they're done.
You got to release that gun, though, at the right time. Because if you wait too long, it backfires. And then you're out for like a second or two.
Yep. There was an art to it.
Yes, there was.
I like that. And then, of course, the plasma grenades are always great because, like,
get somebody on the ankle or something.
Oh my gosh, I remember like so many times. My friend Leif, I would throw that plasma grenade like at his back or something. He didn't know it was there, and he'd just blow up, and he'd be like, "What happened?" Like you'd hear him in the other room. He'd be like cussing or whatever. He's like, "What happened?" And everybody would do it because he had like the funniest reactions. So like I remember his brother like would be up above him and would just like drop a plasma grenade like unknowingly on him, and I don't know, it was just funny to hear his reaction. But and then like so the weapons, like what about the vehicles? Is there anything like that because I like the Warthog a lot. That was like my favorite. It controlled so well. Like that is how a vehicle needed to control. Like I felt like
it's got a little slop to it, so it slides around a little bit, but it's got good grip and it can climb up a mountain. That is probably the solid choice. But anytime I got the chance, I get in the Scorpion, that tank.
Oh yeah,
that was probably my favorite one.
Yeah,
by far. So Warthog for you.
Yeah, the Warthog, definitely. And I loved getting like a buddy on the back of that thing and then somebody be shooting. And one thing I really like to do, and it was always with my friend Leif, because his all his reactions were just over the top, and it was worth it just to see him get irritated or just to get whatever. But like I'd be driving the Warthog and he'd be up there shooting, and then I'd bail out, and the Warthog would go over a ledge or something just to hear him. I don't know. He'll be listening to this, and I don't know, be laughing because I'm talking about it. But yeah, it was fun. It's a lot of fun, and I miss that. I mean, I did play. I guess I played a little bit of Infinite online when it first came out, and it just didn't have the same feel. And that's because I wasn't with my buddies, just hanging out
some random group
in the house. Yep, and that's what made it.
Yeah, I know people make friends on there and everything, but it's just that's just not the same to me.
But, and it. That's with me. Like I'm not going to knock. So I'm not going to. It sounds like we're knocking online gaming. Yeah. I'm not necessarily doing that to a point, because like I know, like my stepson, like he plays games online with his friends, and especially during COVID, like that was how he was able to spend time with his buddies, as they just got online and they played, and now they all have different schedules, and at night they can get together for an hour, everybody's off work or whatever, they're not doing school stuff, and they can play online, and they visit.
I mean, we were going to try and hook up online and play some Halo, but it just didn't work out.
Didn't work out. Yeah.
Like I think they shut down the server for it. So I don't think we could have, even if we both got the games together. I think they shut down the servers for 1, 2, and 3, I think.
Okay.
I know 1 for sure. I'm 99% positive they shut down the server for 1, because when I went to Halo 1 in the marketplace, there was a note about the servers being shut down like 3 years ago.
Okay.
But I played it through the Master Chief Collection, so I don't know if they left it open specifically in that regard, or if just all of Halo 1 is no longer online.
Yeah.
Like I said, I played campaign, so it didn't really matter.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm sure, like, with if they've taken 2 and 3 offline, I'd be curious to see if they've left the co-op online enabled. So you could at least play the campaign with somebody online. But I don't know. I'm sure they're trying to funnel multiplayer all into Infinite, because they can just put all their resources in that and keep the servers up and running and adding up.
Does it have like a season pass or anything you got to like purchase on the regular? Yeah,
I don't know if it's anything. Oh well, I'm sure it does. Yeah. I guess I don't know if it's. I'm sure it's not anything as crazy as Fortnite or PUBG.
Which I mean, I gotta say the Fortnite one's not that bad because it's a free game, and if you bought the season pass every time it came out, I think it's less than like $10, and that's like 3 months. 3 months of gaming. I gotta say that's not bad. I mean, you get like a bunch of like their skins and stuff like that. So I'd say for that, I mean, for the value, it's not bad, but it's not paying $60 for a game and then like a $20 season pass or whatever. Like some of these games I see come out where they're like, oh yeah, you're going to buy the full game. And then we're going to have like a season pass if you want to play anything online, really. That's going to be an extra $10 or $20 a month or a quarter or however often they want to spin it out. So I'll give them that at least the main game is free. And really, you don't even have to have the season pass. You can just play free.
Yeah. I mean, I know Harper gets on my account and she'll play.
Yeah.
Like play with Landon and, she doesn't get a season pass because I don't buy it for my account. Yeah. Landon gets it for his, but he's got a separate account with his debit card hooked up to it.
His whole thing, yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So.
Well, you got any more Halo info for us? Anything else you want to talk about on the subject?
I don't think so. We touched a lot. I just a classic franchise, and I hope one day it comes back to its roots a little bit. I miss it. And I know a lot of that's steeped in nostalgia. And, if I'm begging for something more and then I'll get it and I still won't be I got Infinite and I wasn't satisfied with it, so
wasn't quite enough, huh?
Yeah. But the multiplayer, man, I think that's really what I'm gathering from both of us is what both of us really have fond memories of as a multiplayer. Like I know that I've talked about the couch co-op and I or the death matches and stuff, but
LAN parties,
yes, LAN parties. I know that I've talked strong about like how good the campaign is and everything, and it is, but just based off that, if I didn't have the multiplayer, would I have as such strong memories of this? I don't think I would. I would have played the campaign and be like, wow, that was really good, and probably talked about it with my friends and then forgotten about it, So it's a multiplayer, and that's what it is. And I know they're still trying to milk that cow, and I hope they keep doing it. But
Well, before we put a button on it, I do have one last thought. So speaking of the LAN parties, do you remember or did you know what the name of your original Xbox was?
The name
did you know they had
Xbox?
Names?
No.
Yeah, like they have
no
names.
idea.
So whenever the Xbox, the original Xboxes were given names like at the factory, like you couldn't change it.
Okay.
So like whenever you connected all your whole LAN party together, in the Xbox menu, your Xbox has a name.
Really?
And so like you could see the other Xboxes. That's how they identified themselves on the network, was by their name. I don't remember mine exactly, but I remember it was something like Lucky Ladybug or something like that.
Really?
Something to that effect. Yeah. So like they all had like little names, which I thought was just kind of like a fun little thing. I didn't know if you remembered yours or if you even knew that they had them. But
No, because like I said, I never really played online on Xbox. Xbox Live came out during the lifetime of the original Xbox.
Oh no, this wasn't Xbox Live. This was whenever you're on the LAN party.
Well, I know,
for the
I know.
Xbox.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, I never really used my original Xbox, to do much multiplayer. It wasn't until the 360 era that I started really doing the multiplayer. But I've been wanting to. I've really been wanting to go back and try to find an original Xbox online and pick one up. I think it'd be fun to. I don't know how much they are right now, but it'd be fun to get one, I think, and try to pick up some of these older games and play them on the original hardware again.
I will warn you, the original Xbox, there's a capacitor. They say it's got capacitor issues. So like there's like a group of capacitors that go out in it, but they're they look like little batteries, like they're the fairly large
those are
capacitors.
Easy to solder back in. Mm-hmm.
So yeah, they're easy to swap out. So whenever you look for one, you want to make sure that those haven't blown and corroded your board. Because a lot of times they'll blow and they'll corrode the board. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And there's one specifically that's for keeping time on the Xbox. And so, and that one goes really quick. That's like one of the first ones to go. So a lot of times whenever you pick up an Xbox now, it won't keep time. So like every time you fire it up, it wants to reset the time and you got to like enter the time in again until you replace this capacitor. But I think that somebody has created a little PCB that you can solder in place of the capacitor, and it's got a battery. And so you can swap out the battery if you needed to. But just something to look for if you're looking for an original Xbox. Something to be mindful for. A lot of I think there was like 4 or 5 capacitors, like a group of them that are known for blowing out on these old Xboxes. And it can corrode the board. So something to keep an eye out for.
That's good advice. Good advice. And good advice for anybody else out there that's wanting to kind of.
That's right. Anybody hunting down an Xbox, yeah. Watch out for those capacitors, especially those old 2000s era game consoles, your Xboxes, PlayStation 2s, what was the Sega one? Dreamcasts. Those all had the capacitors that go out. Yeah. But all right, so next week we'll be back with X-Men. Nothing specific. Just X-Men. We're just going to talk about X-Men, comics, movies, games, just all over the board. We're going to bring up a bunch of different stuff, but we're going to talk about X-Men next week. So until then, we've reached another checkpoint, my friends. So get those tokens ready, and we'll be back next week. See ya. This Podcast Takes Tokens is a Clay Street production.